So I've come out this morning on the hunt for another springer. And again, as you'll be aware, loose springers are in short supply. They pretty much don't exist. But nonetheless, it seems worth a quick cast, you know. The water height here is good for a springer. This is not a place I know. This is the first time I've ever fished this part of it. At the end of last year, I made a video further up the river, and it was the first time really I'd been up there as well. But I thought I would come down here this morning and give it a go. It can sometimes produce a spring fish. I really don't know even if I'm standing in the right place, and that's the truth. But I'll give it a wee bash. I'm actually just a few yards from the road, so I didn't have to move very far this morning. And it's a fairly quiet morning, cold, but fairly quiet. Not much of a wind, so not much of a wave either. With the salmon, the wave's often helpful. But in saying that, as you know, I maintain with the springer, they're either going to have the fly or they're not. And sometimes I don't think conditions much matter. So I'm keeping on the move here, trying to cover all this. This groiny bit goes out quite a distance. see, again, yeah, as you understand, I don't know this water at all. I've never fished here on this bit before, so I really am having, it's a voyage of adventure and discovery, and I most certainly do not know what I'm doing, you know. And there may be people who know this bit of the water who are saying, oh, don't stand there, don't cast there, what are you playing at, you know. But when you don't know, you just have to experiment. And obviously, one useful way of doing that is to cover as much water as you can. Now, something much bigger moved out there. You see him? I have no idea what that is, because it's been moving about there. Oh, my phone. So could that have been a salmon? Was it big enough? I really don't know. But something stuck a big fin out of the water. So no banana today. I've got a Kit Kat, but I have the cup of tea. I'm just gonna have the cup of tea, let this rest for a wee while, and then try it again, because I remain convinced that I saw a fish move there. So I'm gonna try actually from here. You see there's like a wee ramp, obviously for putting the boats in. I'm gonna try from here onto this side of that groin first, and then I'll go around and try basically where I was standing again. It moved like underneath my line. It was almost like my line disturbed it. So I'll give it a couple of minutes while I have the tea, and see how that works out, you know. I've put the buffalo and the wee bonnet on to keep me warm, because it's a cool morning. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. So I'll cover it for a wee while, I mean, a few minutes. Then I'll walk down the river a bit, there's 3 other wee pools on down the river. I'll try them, and then I'll come back up and cover this again, because At the slightest hint that there's a fish there, spring fish in Lewis are so rare, so at the slightest hint that there's one there, it's worth putting a wee bit of effort in, you know. Beyond that, I don't know what else to do, but we'll see. Oh, there's somebody on a motorbike going past. So fingers crossed, I'll enjoy my cup of tea, and fingers crossed after it, maybe, just maybe, stand a chance of hooking a fish. So this is a second attempt here after bending a hook on the groin thing that sticks out over there. I thought it was deep enough that the fly would have cleared it, but that obviously wasn't the case. Just because of where I saw that fish move, I wanted to put the fly onto this side of it just before I go out to where I was when the fish moved. It was like the fish moved underneath my line, which was the weirdest thing. I mean, you can only guess that maybe my line disturbed it, but I'm casting a wee bit short so that I'm not actually over the construction now, because like I say, I bent a hook on it just previously. So I'm only going to give it 3 or 4 casts here, just in case there's anything lying along it. Because with the wave coming onto this side, there's always a possibility that the fish, you know, it might have been lying on this side and just moved over the top, and that's maybe why I saw it move and why the movement was so weird, because I saw several disturbances in the water, like a fish moving under the water, and then I saw what appeared to be quite a big dorsal fin, and I thought, well, it looked like a salmon to me, but just the behaviour was so weird because I saw it moving about under the water, you know, maybe 4 or 5 times over a period of a couple of seconds. So, having given it a wee cast here, what I'm going to do is go out to where I was. Go out to where I was when I moved the fish, or well, saw the fish move. Like I say, I think it was my line over the top of it that maybe disturbed it. So I'm going to go out and try along there again. And see if that might not just do me some business, you know. Because I've tried this side of the groin just out of sort of caution. So I've come out again onto this wee groiny thing, and it stretches out quite a distance to see if I can't move a fish, because I'm convinced that a fish sort of moved in the oddest way just along the edge of this groin. previously, like before I had my tea. So if I don't move anything here this time, then what I'll do, I'll go down the river a bit to the pools down there and see how they look for a cast, and then come back here later. I'm just starting off with a relatively short line in case, you know, in case it was my line that disturbed it the first time. Though, as salmon anglers will know, salmon don't really care much about anything. If they decide they're having the fly, they have it, regardless of what your line's doing. I think you could tie the line on with, or the fly on with blue rope, and you'd be good to go. So I think once I've fished this cast out, I'll take a wee walk down the river. In part out of interest because I've never been down it before, so it's a complete voyage of discovery. I'll have to even find how I get down it, you know. And that'll be something a wee bit different for our entertainment. I think I want to move that just a wee bit out from the groin after my experience of hooking it earlier. Right. So I'm going to think move down the river a bit for a look, and then I'll come back to here later. But I'm convinced there's a fish here now. So I've come down the river a wee step, not that far really, and again, I don't know where to fish. I mean, there could be people shouting at me, "Oh, don't fish there, nobody's ever caught a fish there," but I'm giving all the wee sort of obvious places a try pretty much, on the basis that it's kind of all I can do, you know. It's just this bit looked pretty deep, and springers sometimes like a good deep hole, you know. So again, not knowing the river, I don't know exactly what to do with this pool, but this wee bit of creamy water up the top looks actually quite fishable. So I'm going to give it a wee bash. Might actually lengthen the line just a wee bit, you know. Usually it's better to walk than to lengthen the line, but under the circumstances here, just where there isn't much cover on the bank and whatnot, you know, I'm gonna be quite high profile once I walk. So I think I'll try and keep the head down as best I can. Just at least to start with, and maybe put a bit of a length of line down there. Again, not yards and yards, but just a wee bit. I have to guess that where I am now is about where I want to be, probably. I've just had my lunch and a cup of tea, and I thought I'll give this wee streamy bit here a cast. Looks like somewhere a salmon might take up residence if he had nothing better to do with his time. So I'm just going to fish my way down it, see if I can't do any business here. Ah yes, it comes into quite weedy on this side. So I think the main channel's over there, basically. Oh. Right. I kind of feel that I've kind of had the best out of this. So I think I'm going to start tramping back and maybe have a few more casts where the river enters the loch. Just I saw that wee trout move, and sometimes if a wee trout moves it's because a salmon has disturbed it. Now, I don't think that's the case in this situation, but worth covering it nonetheless. So, I think that's what I'll do. I'll probably go up, try the where the river comes into the loch again, and see if I can move anything there. It's really all I can do. I'm sort of still pretty convinced that I saw the fish there this morning, so that's got to be, it's got to be worth another cast before calling it quits. So I've come back here for a few casts before I call it quits, because I think I've given it a good, I think I've given it a good pattern. And I do still kind of believe that I saw a fish here this morning. So that being the case, and springers being so rare and loose, anywhere you see a fish, or even maybe think you might have seen a fish, is worth hammering, you know. So, another wee cast here. Just in case there is indeed one lying in here, you know. And I think it gives the river a fairly good sort of checking out. And I think if there was anything in there that I stood a reasonable chance of having moved it. Because I think I pretty much fished all the good obvious spots, you know. The gauge in the bridge is showing 34 of whatever the gauge shows. I think it's inches maybe. And I'm told that that's an excellent height for this spot. So again, that makes it worth, you know, persevering just a wee bit. I'm right along the wee groin here, so I might end up hooked on it. Just the wind just eased off at an appropriate moment, and I just came a wee bit this way, you know. So I'm starting to feel like time to wrap up for the day. I think I've done enough to say I've given it a good bash, but no springer, unfortunately, though I remain convinced that I did see a fish just out in front of me here, and just don't know what else it could have been, you know. So that's me done for the day, I think. Great day out, very enjoyable. Interesting new place that I've never fished before. I've fished this river before on up, and I posted a video of that last season. But I've never fished this bit, you know. And the springer hunt continues. I should say that I don't think there has been a springer for Lewis yet this year. So I don't think anyone else has had one, but this was certainly worth a punt, and I just remain convinced that a fish sort of moved there. I think my line disturbed it. I mean, it didn't move to my fly. I'm convinced of that because my fly was further out than the fish. But I think it just, don't know, was it fed up with seeing the line or something? And it just came to the surface and splashed. Not even splashed, just a weird thing, you know. So, not a great day out as ever, and time to head home. There's a bit sheep to feed and things to do, and I'll have to plan. Maybe I'll get another day at spring fish. Maybe not. Who knows? And I fancy a decent day at trout, like when there's a decent chance of a fish. So, but at the minute the weather's so cold and miserable, it's really not trout weather at all. So, hence why I'm mostly fishing for salmon, because it's Baltic down here. I know I'm standing in my shirt, but it's Baltic. So. But that's me done for the day. Another exciting, interesting day on the Springer search, but no Springer, unfortunately.